Hey guys, Crypto Sky here, back with another video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today we're going to be going over technical analysis for beginners, and we're going to be focusing on TA, mainly with crypto. And the first topic, the first TA strategy we're going to look at is trend lines. It's the most basic of TA, it's the most simple, and as far as beginners go, it's where I would recommend to start off if you're interested in learning trading cryptocurrency, investing, or just general technical analysis to apply to your trading and investing. So we're going to take a look at this PowerPoint real quick, and we're going to start off with some terms that you guys need to know when you're doing technical analysis. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is trend lines. And a trend line is a line indicating the general course or tendency of something. And a bullish market is a time when the market is trending upwards and there are more buyers in the market. While a bearish market is a time when the market is trending downwards and there are more sellers in the market. So what do trend lines do for us? Trend lines show us the overall feeling or trend of the market. So as an investor, it helps you get a feeling for, are you buying at a good price? What's the market like with the coin you're interested in? It helps you just get a general idea of what the market is doing currently and what it may do in the future. Trend lines can also help us predict a reversal, a breakout, and can show us other important patterns. So markets always move in patterns. This is just something that's been proven to be true. And trend lines help us realize these patterns and look for reversals and breakouts when you're trading and possibly when you're investing. So it also shows us entry points and exit points for trading and mainly investing. So this would help you pick out a good entry point so you can get a good price for the coin that you're looking to buy, that you're looking to invest in, and then also give you a good idea of where maybe an exit strategy, an exit point would be for if you want to sell short term or long term, depending on whether you're trading or investing. So how do trend lines form? What you're going to be looking for when you first are looking for a trend line is either whether the market's bullish or bearish. So if it's bullish, you're going to be looking at higher highs and higher lows. If it's bearish, you're going to be looking at lower lows and lower highs. And we'll take a look at an actual graph here shortly. So also when you're actually charting your trend lines, you want to look for 3 points to connect. And a couple common questions are, do you have to connect the body or the candlestick? It's not a huge deal. It's kind of your preference. I prefer the body, but I also do some candlestick. It just kind of depends how the chart is set up, but what you do want to do is stay consistent with whatever you choose. You don't want to be going from body to candle to body to candle. You want to stay consistent. So what's the best way to get better at drawing trend lines? Really, the only way to get better at drawing trend lines is to actually draw trend lines. In other words, you need to practice. So I'm going to take you over to TradingView real quick. And show you just a little chart that I came up with for Unicoin Gold compared to Bitcoin. And Unicoin Gold, UKG, you guys can look it up. It's a fairly new cryptocurrency. Mark Cuban has recently invested in it. And I also have invested in it a good bit. I have a pretty large bag. So I'm very excited for this year. It's a coin based on esports, based on gambling and betting with esports. So I think that sector has a huge chance to grow this year and really, multiple years to come. But we're going to be taking a look at its chart and see if the TA is matching up with the FA, which is just general research. So here what you notice first is the largest line is a green line. So we see we're going to be using candlesticks mainly with this one. We see right here, we start off here, we have 1 hit, we have 2 hits right here, 3 hits right here, 4 and 5 hits. So this is a very strong line of support. And what I mean by line of support is every time it hits this, it tries to go below it, it bounces up. Tries to hit it, bounces up. Later on, tries to hit it, bounces up. So that means it's supporting. It's like if you're on a bridge and you jump up and you land on it, it's going to support you. So that's basically what this line of support is doing. And in this overall market, we're seeing a fairly bullish market. It's obviously, it was very bullish during here. You see, like I talked about, we're looking for higher highs and higher lows. So we start off right here. So here's our first, first major high right here, and then here's our low. Oops, nice little ad pop up. There we go. So then we jump up here and we have a new high and a new low. So obviously these are higher high. So this is when we're in a bullish market right here. So the overall trend for this market is very simple. It just shoots up like this, and you see where this line of support was very strong during this time period. But then it broke that line of support right in here. And this means if it breaks support, we're in a bearish market. That's a very bearish term. If you break support, it's a bad sign basically. So we went back down, and we were in a pretty bullish market. Change that to red. Whoops. There we go. Change that to red. So we were extremely bullish right here. And what we're looking at in a bullish market is lower highs, and lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower high. So we see we're on a downtrend right here. And then we get right around this line of support, which is the overall trend line we're looking at, and it takes a huge bounce off support and obviously goes way up. So when you bounce off support, you're hoping for a large bounce. And that's what we're looking for when you bounce off a support line. So we see we have some more movement up here, and it was very volatile during this time. And then we kind of settle back down into this nice little channel right here. And we have a fairly bearish market right here. As you can see, the market was fairly bearish right here. Starting kind of right here. Here's another kind of trend I see here. It was fairly bullish. Obviously, you guys can tell that. But then we find support right here at this overall trend line. And this is something that trend lines can really help you guys. It shows you obviously your support levels, but obviously this is a very good time for a buy, whether you're investing or trading, because you have confidence where it's built up some strength in this trend line that it's going to bounce off support. And it did. It bounced again. It was in a nice little channel right here, and then kind of came back, broke back out of it towards support, and again bounced up off support. So now we're going to take a look at this resistance line right here. And what I mean by resistance line is this red line right here. So when I chart, I normally like to keep the current resistance lines in red and the current support lines in green. But obviously a resistance line can turn into a support if it is broken. But we can go into that later. That's more of an advanced term. Right now we're just kind of focusing on trend lines. So you can see if we zoom in here a little bit, it's hitting this resistance. Every time it hits this line of resistance, it's going to bounce down. It's going to bounce off and come down, bounce off, and then it hits, and then we see a nice little trend here. And this was something I noticed kind of looking at the graph. We had a nice little trend going right here where it bounced off support a few times. We had one here, two bounces, and then a third one. And then we have a huge jump. Then we have another bounce with a huge jump, and then it just hits this wall right here, this line of resistance, which was just a wall, and it has not been able to get over it, and it's tried, and it eventually broke this line of support. So this right here is going to eventually turn into a line of resistance, but you can see it's so bullish that that's a long time down the road. So oh my. As you can tell how young the coin is, the chart just disappears if you zoom out too much. But zooming back in, so as you guys can tell here, we have a triangle right here. So what I'm looking at when I'm looking at this triangle. And again, guys, this is not financial advice. I'm not the best crypto trader, investor out there, and compared to a lot of people, I'm fairly new at this, but I am learning every day, and I'm trying to help the new people who are getting into it and maybe a little nervous. I'm trying to help them get their feet wet and them kind of get into the game as I'm really getting serious into it as well. So what I'm looking at here is there's a lot of room. You know, we see it's bounced a little bit, and we see it's kind of been in this little channel right here. You know, most of the action has been right here. This little channel right here. And it's broken this channel, but it's come back up, and then it's broken it again. So, you know, from seeing this chart right here, I'm thinking we're going to get a bounce somewhere in here. It's probably not going to be a huge bounce. It may not be this, but it's probably going to be something around like this. So we have a bounce here, and then this resistance, this line of resistance, struggling with my mouse, has been very, very strong. But you see, it has to break soon. So what I see in this graph is after this little bounce here, I see maybe of a little downtrend back here. And it can be in this area. This is a great buy zone, because if it does get down here, and that should probably be red, if it does get down in this area, we have a very, very strong line of support. So after we see that line of support, we're thinking green, 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 and hopefully it can break up out of this channel and, you know, go to the moon, as per se. And looking at it in the long term, as you can see, kind of this jump right here, I mean, we could see a jump like this, guys. If it breaks this line of resistance right here, I mean, it can go, I mean, it can get in this area. And then that's when this line right here, which we were graphing earlier, sorry, let me click the right tool. That's where this graph right here would turn into sort of a line of resistance. So we would maybe expect something like this to happen, and it bounce off that line of resistance, or it could go through. You never know. And obviously this isn't the prettiest graph, but it's just kind of showing you guys how you can use trend lines to predict what the market may do. So we're going to look at Bitcoin compared to US dollar, just so you guys can see something live, and so what I would look at when I look at this chart. So I want to be looking at relevant trend lines, so trend lines that aren't necessarily broken yet. And the first obvious one I see is we're in a little bit of a bullish market. We started this candlestick right here, hit this candlestick, hit another one. So we have 3 trend lines, which makes the actual trend line legit. So we see it's a nice line of support right here. It's bounced off of it multiple times, bounced off it here again. So you have some room here, and then let's take a look at if we have any sort of, let's take a look at if we have any lines of resistance here and what those may be. There we go, struggling a little bit. So the first one I see right here, it's good, not great. You know, you can, and it's something you kind of have to play around with until you get comfortable. But I do see sort of a channel right here, and it's in a very bullish trend. And then overall, you see this huge line of support. Actually, must have had that up earlier. But and then we see this line of support right here. Sorry, there's a line of resistance. See a nice line of support right here. So if we zoom out and we come over a little bit here, there we go. So we have a huge line of support right here, and we have a very, very large line of resistance. So you're seeing you have a nice channel right here that's breaking sort of in this uptrend. Also, so you have a nice channel right here. But the interesting part is when we get to this line of resistance, hopefully in the future. If it breaks, you would expect it to go up. If it goes down, you would expect something like this. So, trend lines is not as technical as a lot of the other technical analysis, but it's just something to give you a basic idea of what the market's doing and where you can kind of expect the market to go. Obviously, it's not set in stone, nothing is, but it's just there to give you an idea of what the market is doing. And the last sort of line I see right here is a very strong line of support / resistance. Right here, it's bounced off of it multiple times, but it broke here and then provided a line of resistance right here, and then it broke that resistance. Little bit of support, not much, broken pretty easily. Another line of resistance, support here, and it's kind of stayed in this channel right here, but it's been broken again, and we see a little breakthrough right here, and it's kind of came back down to that line of resistance. So we're hoping that it will continue to stay in this channel. But I also see, looking at this, I see another line of resistance, which this is about to hit. Actually, I see, oops, don't want it there, I want it here. There we go. So I see something like this. And obviously that's not perfect, but I see another line of resistance right here, and see it hit right here, and it came off. So we're going to be keeping an eye on Bitcoin to see whether it gets above this line of resistance and then it can break through to this channel, or whether it hits back off. But you can see it has a great chance of a breakout here, because obviously the channel is pretty strong. So we're hoping to see it break out of resistance very soon. So that's going to be all for the video. I know I started rambling there a little bit, but I wanted to bring you guys a video on technical analysis just so you could kind of get a general idea of what trend lines are and how you can use them to help when you are beginning to invest and trade cryptocurrency. So that's all for the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, and please also like the video, and make sure you comment, ask me some questions, or tell me what you want to see in the next video. I'm very open, and I appreciate you guys tuning in, and that's all.